This is my most played song on Spotify. The One Piece addiction continues. I am very excited to get back into the world of One Piece after taking a couple of weeks break for other projects, other things that I did, things that were potentially dangerous as well. I don't know if you've seen them, but I did stay at a haunted castle. I might have brought a ghost back home. I went on a spooky getaway with my friends and we dressed up as ghosts and pumpkin heads and all of the fun Halloween things. But now Halloween's over, we are on our way to Christmas. I also consider this the season of One Piece because it also means that I don't really have too many projects going on at once, that I can just get straight back into One Piece. So if you are new here, hi, hello. I have managed to read the entire East Blue saga and I'm currently in the Alabasta saga. And by currently I mean I've only read the first arc, which was the Reverse Mountain arc, which I have a video for, and I am going to be going through the One Piece series arc by arc and reviewing it chapter by chapter. That is the current format that I'm going for. Whether or not it stays that way for the entirety of this reading One Piece for the first time read along that I'm doing, that's up for debate. I know there are some arcs coming up that people have told me there are like 100 chapters of, so we will cross that bridge when we get to it. So the format of this video will be the same as the Reverse Mountain arc. I will be reading the Whisky Peak arc chapter by chapter, and I will be giving you my thoughts on each one when I've read each chapter. So the Whisky Peak arc are part of volume 12 and volume 13 of the One Piece series, and there are 9 chapters, chapters 106 through 114. So those are the chapters I'll be reading in this vlog. I am taking my boys to get a checkup, and by boys I mean my 2 cats. Boys to get a checkup, and then they're getting their balls chopped tomorrow. So this might be more of a chaotic reading vlog than my previous ones. So we'll see how it goes. Honestly, we'll see how it goes. Usually I go on and on in introductions and I just waffle on. So I'm just going to head straight into the very first chapters of the One Piece Whisky Peak arc. I feel like I've been reading volume 12 forever. This is the end of the East Blue saga. It has the entire Reverse Mountain arc in it and the start of the Whisky Peak arc. So I've read chapter 106. And again, it was really good. It's hard because not a whole lot happened, but what did happen was wonderful. So following leaving Reverse Mountain, we have, I almost forgot about them as well, Mr. 9 and Miss Wednesday. They're still with our gang, still with the Straw Hat Pirates. And, you know, we have Nami trying to navigate the ship, but the Grand Line is very unpredictable, as we've been told. But we actually see just how chaotic and how random the Grand Line is. We start with a blizzard, which was a perfect setting. I hope we get more One Piece in the future that's set in a sort of Arctic setting, because I really do love those kinds of settings. And it's perfect because, you know, it's November, we're heading towards Christmas, it's getting chilly, so yeah, I really love that. I love how Nami is so protective of being a navigator as well. Like, even though in the Grand Line, being a navigator is just hard because it's not really a straightforward thing, you know. You have to have the log piece, which they got in the previous arc, and the log piece is the only thing you can trust. You can't trust the sky, can't trust the sea, can't trust anything but the log piece. So obviously that's really hard for Nami to come to terms with, and hopefully she still feels valued and still feels like a really solid member of the Straw Hats, because I really do love Nami. I love all the characters now. I'm just going to put this out there. I love Luffy, I love Zoro, I love Nami, I love Usopp, I love Sanji. So we still have like this really tight-knit group. There's only 5 of them so far. I mean, I haven't seen any spoilers for what actually happens, but I have seen other characters that I think are part of the main group, just in thumbnails on YouTube videos that I've quickly scrolled past because I don't want to know anything about them. Sometimes I find it hard to welcome new characters, so I feel like we've got something really good going on so far with these 5 main characters. I'm sure when we get more new characters introduced to join the group, I will take a liking to them, as I have done with the 5 that we currently have. But yeah, I love what we have right now, and I'm excited to see it continue. I really wish I could show you panels and things, but I do believe that there have been some copyright issues with showing panels and things like that, so I'm not going to risk it. But a few moments I absolutely loved from this chapter was when there was the blizzard and there was a lot of snow on the ship, and Nami was telling everyone to get rid of the snow, and Luffy and Usopp have these snowmen, but Usopp's snowman is like this incredible creature, and Luffy ends up smashing it, and then they get into a fight. I love their kind of brotherly banter, and I just love the fact that Sanji is doing whatever Nami says as well. He's like, Nami, how long should I keep shoveling this snow of love? Because Sanji just like loves any woman, really. It's just funny. Another moment I loved as well is when they meet Igarappoi. the mayor of Whisky Peak. And Luffy says, "Mister, you killed your hair way too much." And it's like really small writing. It's like Luffy is whispering this. And it's just the first thing he says to the mayor of this new island they've come across. And that's hilarious too, because Luffy doesn't have a filter. He'll just say exactly what he wants. Fortunately, it doesn't look like the mayor of Whisky Peak will do anything. I don't know, actually. I'm getting really weird vibes from this island. I don't know why. Because our Straw Hat crew, they have reached Whisky Peak, and Miss and Miss Wednesday, they jump off the ship and they go to this island because that's their hometown, I believe they said in the previous arc. So like they really just wanted to get to this island. For what reason? I don't actually know. They were sweating when they were asked their motive from Zoro, and it's just hilarious. Oh, another thing I found hilarious was that Zoro slept through the entire thing while they were being thrashed around in the Grand Line with all the crazy chaotic weather changes, and he just slept through the entire thing. Hilarious. But anyway, sorry, back on track. Yeah, Miss and Miss Wednesday were like sweating, so they're definitely hiding something. I just don't know what it is. And I feel like with this Whisky Peak town, it just, because they're a town of celebration and ale. It was described as something else as well. A town of ale brewing and music. And they welcome Luffy and his team with open arms, you know, and they want to celebrate and stuff. But I don't know, I feel weird vibes. I don't know why. It might be because this is like the first proper location, the first proper island they've come across on the Grand Line. And I don't think it's going to be a straightforward thing, you know? I'm bad with words today. I've been tired since taking Ash and Tobu to the vets, and I'm getting them ready for tomorrow to get their snippy snip. So I'm just spending all the time with them. They're both currently lying on the bed with me, and I've just been lying with them, and I've just been feeling so tired. But I'm going to persevere because I absolutely love chapter 106, and I'm really looking forward to chapter 107. It's called Moonlight and Tombstones, which is interesting, and I feel like I could probably show you the graphic if it's like far away, but I love the sort of chapter title page. I love it so much. Anyway, yeah, I want to get back into reading, and yeah, I'm just so happy to be back. I'm finding it so hard to get things read quickly with him. He is an actual daddy's boy. He is so clingy. He's so clingy. And now he's gone camera shy. My suspicions were right, but I feel like it was done in an obvious way, which I think was intentional. Like, obviously, it wouldn't be a positive thing coming across this brand new island and instantly everybody wants to celebrate you. Obviously, there would be something that wouldn't sit right with the crew. Now, it seems like Zoro is the only one who picked up on that. Meanwhile, everyone else is kind of out for the count. They are out for the count. Thank God Zoro had the sense to realise that this entire sort of town is filled with bounty hunters. And we are going to see some kick-ass Zoro action. I can feel it in my waters. And we already got like a bit of a sense of it actually at the end of this chapter, which made me really, really excited because I don't think we've seen a big Zoro fight in a little bit of a while. And at least it feels like a while to me because it's been a couple of months, maybe like a month and a half since I read the East Blue saga. So we are due some more epicness from Zoro. So yeah, we have that to look forward to. But yeah, essentially this chapter was about Luffy and the team being welcomed by this town. They are drinking, they are celebrating, and Sanji is, I don't know how Sanji is like passed out and stuff, but Sanji is flirting with like 20 women or something, and Luffy is eating everything, and Zoro is drinking everyone under the table, but Nami is drinking more people under the table, although now it makes sense that Zoro, you know, didn't actually, well, I don't know how he did it, but he somehow managed to not be affected at all by all of the beer he was drinking, and he was kind of, yeah, he managed somehow to stay awake while everyone else has kind of gone out for the count. Usopp, what was Usopp doing again, actually? For some reason, I've already forgotten what Usopp was up to. Oh, Usopp was telling stories, and obviously he is a bit of a liar and stuff, so there are some things that he's telling them that aren't quite truthful, but, you know, it's just part of his personality, you know? He's embellishing stories for entertainment, so I appreciate him for it. But yeah, he somehow passes out from telling so many stories about himself too. So like, it's hilarious. It is really, really good. Some moments I loved. I loved when everyone was like about Zoro, wow, he drank 10 men under the table, and then the next panel is not. You know, one of the things that I love about One Piece is that the panels themselves are just so comedic, and it's the timing, it's the comedic timing of the panels and the way that a character can just burst through a scene and deliver some kind of comic genius from order. But yeah, the next panel is Nami with a glass and she's like, ta-da, and everyone's like, wow, she outdrank 12, you know, and it's like she's one-upped Zoro, even though, yeah, it is revealed that Zoro isn't actually passed out or anything. But yeah, one funny thing was that there was a nun that Nami was drinking against, and I find that hilarious, although we do find out that the nun is, well, or the sister is actually Miss Monday. She's actually Miss Monday. So we have Miss Monday, Miss Wednesday, Mr. Nine, and other people as well. But it turns out this entire time are the Baroque works. They are a secret society. We find that out because they are planning on giving Luffy over for the bounty, the reward for capturing Luffy, and Zoro overhears and he's like, can you at least let them rest, you know, they're quite tired, and then reveals he overheard the entire thing. He knows exactly who they are. They are a secret society of the Baroque works, and they once invited Zoro to join them, so that's kind of like how he knew. But there are, I think, 100 bounty hunters, which, you know, the next chapter is called 100 bounty hunters, so I imagine there is, and he is about to take them all on. I'm so excited. Although at the end of this volume, and actually that kind of hurt my ears, at the end of this volume, he does start taking them out, and he's so super fast. They have nothing on him, and it's just so fast and so quick, and I love this. But also it's really, really sinister, actually, because in this Whisky Peak town there are these cactuses. Is it cactuses or cacti? I never know. It's something that I should know, but I never know. But there are many cactuses, and even though we saw them when we came into this town, when you look closer, and I love the zoom on this cactus, and they're actually tombstones on this cactus. So instead of those spikes that you usually get on a cactus, it's actually graves. It's actually gravestones, tombstones, whatever you want to call them. And that's just so chilling, actually. It's actually quite scary. Probably one of the scariest moments in One Piece so far, I would say. Not that I was like genuinely terrified, but the implications of it. The fact that there are that many gravestones on these cacti. I really should look it up. I did look up the pronunciation of Baroque, so I hope I said it right. But for some reason I didn't research what you call multiple cactus as cacti. We're just going to ignore this. But no, it was a really good chapter, actually. It's really ramping up, and I'm really excited to see what happens in chapter 108 and see Zoro fight a lot of these bounty hunters and see how he does that. I've missed some epic Zoro fighting action, so it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. Fireworks? Fireworks, because I just finished volume 12. I'm so glad I can finish this volume and go on to volume 13. This was a great volume, don't get me wrong, but I just, again, feel like I've read it forever. I've also taken my dressing gown off because things are heating up. I will say, though, that chapter 108 felt quite short. It felt definitely shorter than the previous two chapters that I've just read for the Whisky Peak arc. And I'm not complaining, though, because I feel like a lot happened within each panel. There was a lot of movement, there was a lot of fighting. We have Zoro, he's tackling the Baroque works, and he is killing them. Well, not exactly killing them, but he is killing it. He is killing it. He is, just an amazing swordsman. I am just so impressed. And he does take on Miss Monday as well, and she has super strength, but in a kind of test of strength, Zoro wins, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, like, he must be the real captain, like, the wanted poster must be wrong, because how could Luffy, who's currently asleep because he ate too much, be the one who is worth, was it like 30 million berries or something like that? And it's just hilarious that poor Luffy, he definitely can take people on, like, he's definitely strong and stuff, but yeah, I will always regret saying in the very first video I ever did on One Piece, saying that Luffy was smart. I feel like he definitely has a different kind of smart, but yeah, he's just like blissfully unaware of everything that's going on right now. The fact that he's currently passed out is just so funny. There was a couple of funny moments. There was a moment where there was a nun with a cross and a young boy, and it seemed for a moment that Zoro wasn't going to hurt them because they seemed like innocents, but then the young boy pulls out a gun and then Zoro just like hits them. He doesn't kill them, he just hits them and knocks them out. But it's It's so strange. It's just strange having this nun and a young boy. It's just like turning around and he's got a gun. It's it's just a lot of fighting. It's a lot of fighting. It's Zoro taking on people, knowing that he's going to kick their asses. Pretty much got all this chapter. It was a great chapter though. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying much. Not because it's not a good chapter, because it's a great chapter. Just not a whole lot to say about it. It's so good. It's so good. So yeah, gonna go into chapter 109, which means where is it? I get to start volume 13. Whole new volume. Are we excited? Are we excited for it? Yes. Oh, I don't know why he's so camera shy. I thought he was a bit more of a camera whore like me. Guess he doesn't completely take after his dad then. Another super fast chapter. One Piece Whisky Peak arc has been very fast paced, very action heavy, and I'm living for it. We have come to the end of that battle between Zoro and the bounty hunters, but in this volume it was predominantly with Mr. 8, who was the mayor, that was his real identity, and Mr. 9 and Miss Wednesday. And so, of course, Zoro give him some of this and some of that, although it was with swords, not with his fists. But he did it. He managed to do it. He took them down and he was like, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to fight all of you. And I'm like, I'm embarrassed for you, Zoro. Honestly, you need a challenge. You need a challenge like the guy in Berit. Is it Berit? In that arc. Like, that was a challenge. That was a challenge that Zoro couldn't win. But this BiblioQueer society, they ain't got nothing on Zoro, okay? They ain't got nothing on him. And I loved it. I thought it was really good. Again, we have some really... You know what, actually, they give off major, like, Team Rocket vibes. I don't know if that's blasphemous to say. I don't know how people feel about Pokemon comparisons and stuff like that in the One Piece community. So I will not bring up Pokemon again if it's not acceptable. But yeah, there was some like kind of Team Rocket kind of vibes with them. A lot of the times the agents would do something a little bit silly that would kind of make it hard for them to win the battle. Essentially, every single time they tried to hit Zoro or anything like that, or even get near him, their plan would go awry. You know, they would either fall off something, or like say Miss Wednesday, she has her like giant duck thing. It was called Karoo, and that was funny. That was very funny. And it would just kind of like go off in the wrong direction. It wouldn't listen to her instructions and stuff. And yeah, it just kind of comical panto things would happen. And there was a good moment as well, actually, a moment where I thought, ooh, maybe Zoro's in trouble here. And that's where Miss Wednesday does her sort of hypnotic dance, her enchanting vertigo dance. And she ends up looking like two people. Like the way it's illustrated, the way she moves, it looks like there's two Miss Wednesdays. And it was a little disorienting. Even looking at her dress with the kind of hypnotic symbol thing is very disorienting for me looking at it. So that was a really good moment. That was a moment where I was like, oh, is Zoro going to be overpowered here a little bit? I mean, I never had any doubts that Zoro would win, but I thought maybe she has given him a bit more of a challenge right now, but she ended up not. She ended up not. He ends up overcoming and she goes off. Karoo, I think, just goes in a totally different direction than she wanted him to go in. That's just funny. It's just funny. There was also a moment when Miss Wednesday brings out Luffy while he's sleeping and she threatens to kill him. And again, I just didn't feel any kind of danger towards our main characters. I don't feel like they're... I mean, they do feel quite overpowered, but yeah, I don't feel like they're at any point in real true danger yet. I do think we're really early in the series though, so I don't think we're going to get huge threats that are really going to be actual dangerous and potentially life-threatening threats until we get to some later arcs. So at the minute, I'm just enjoying my time, enjoying the action that this series is bringing me. And I didn't realise the chapters would read this fast. I'm reading them in like 10 minutes or less, and I thought they were longer than this, but they're not. But that's fine. That's honestly fine. It seems like the next chapter might be a little bit longer than the previous one. Anyway, it's making it go a lot quicker than I anticipated, which is why I'm doing so many One Piece videos in November, because I could fly through this. I could probably fly through every single One Piece volume in like a week. Is that a challenge? Is that a challenge? Okay, how do we feel about when I've caught up with the series, I do some kind of One Piece challenge where I try and read all of One Piece that's out. Maybe not a week. Maybe not a week, but like 2 weeks or a month? I don't know. Like, how do we feel about that? As a rereading One Piece in a month. I don't know. Early days. Like, I barely started the series. Why am I talking about the future for? I'm just excited, okay? I'm just excited for more One Piece and for chapter 110. The night isn't over. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, so we had some revelations in this chapter. I wasn't expecting anything dramatic to happen, in all honesty. It just came out of nowhere. So, let me try and explain this. So yeah, the Baroque Works agents are down. Mr. 8, Mr. 9, Miss Wednesday, they're down. You know, Zoro beat them all. And I thought that was going to be the end of it. And it kind of is with the big fighting anyway. But then we get introduced to, was it Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine? Was it Mr. 5? There's so many numbers going on at the minute that my brain is a little bit like, wait, which one's which number corresponds to who again? Yeah, Mr. 5, Miss Valentine. Yeah, so they've come and they reveal that there are some people who are undercover in the Baroque Works agency thing. And that's Mr. 8, so the mayor of this Whisky Peak town, is actually, what's his name? Inagram? Sorry, there are just so many different revelations, so many different names now that I get used to one way of saying a name that when it changes, I do struggle. But Igaram is his true name. Igarapoi, the mayor, was his assumed name. But he is actually commander of the Royal Guard of the Kingdom of Alabaster. And Miss Wednesday is actually the Princess of Alabaster, Nefeltari Vivi. Nefeltari Vivi? Have I said it right? I that's the way it looks. So I think I've said it right. I don't know. Let me know if I haven't. But Vivi. Miss Wednesday is Vivi. Okay. That's just like, I love the way that revealed. It was just so unexpected. What? I thought this would just be a comedic, not really important chapter, especially when we started. We have Luffy. He briefly wakes up and he's like, why am I outside? I'm so tired, I should have a nap. And then he goes back to sleep. Like, I just thought this would be one of those chapters that just would be really fun to read but wouldn't feel important. But boy, was I wrong. And then, I mean, finally as well, at the end of this chapter, we have Nami wake up. And she, well, first of all, Igaram pleads with Zoro to protect Vivi and get her safely to Alabaster where she belongs. And Zoro's kind of like a bit wary, but then Nami appears out of nowhere, all refreshed from a nice nap. And she says, yeah, we'll do it for 1 billion berries. I'm just like, whoa, that's a lot of berries. But also, get that coin. Nami is, like, I was just so glad we have our characters back. Well, I mean, Usopp and Sanji and Luffy are still out for the count. But, you know, having Nami slowly get back into it as well is just like, I love it. And I'm sure now in chapter 111, surely, Luffy, Sanji and Usopp will wake up. Surely. Fantastic chapter. It was a great chapter. It was so much fun, but also revealed so many good things. Also, I forgot to tell you guys that I've been buying things off eBay again. I've been buying some One Piece merch off eBay. Somebody needs to stop me. I bought these about a week ago, but hopefully they come within the next few days or within the next week or so. I don't think they'll come by the next One Piece review, but maybe by Drum Island, I think, is the one after Little Garden, which is what I'm reading next. I want to show you guys what I got. I'm so excited for these to come. So I got an action figure of Shanks and Luffy from the very first volume of Shanks giving Luffy the straw hat. I got that from eBay. It wasn't even that expensive either, but that has been dispatched. I'm so excited. And then I wanted to get more One Piece clothing because I can't just wear this in every single One Piece video. I need more, and I will get more in the future as well. It's in the style of like an American jersey jacket, but it is essentially a hoodie with One Piece Adventures on the front and the Skull and Crossbones logo, the One Piece logo on the front, and it's also got the One Piece logo on the back with Straw Hat in English, and then I think maybe Straw Hat in Japanese above that as well. I'm not sure. But I love it. I love it so much. I cannot wait for that to come. And I hope it's the right size as well. I will find out when I get it. This is the thing about buying clothes online. You just don't know if it's actually going to fit. Because half the time, what I actually wear is never what I fit into when I buy it online. So let's let's hope, let's pray that this jersey thingy-mabobby fits. But also, let's hope that I absolutely adore the next chapter, because these recent revelations have just injected so much more into the story. I'm now crouching down because I want every chapter update to be me in a different position so that it looks like I'm moving, so that this isn't boring for you guys. But what in the world? We have another chapter where I'm just like, what? At the end of this chapter, we had, well, Luffy wake up properly, and then he sees Zoro, and then he tells him that they have to fight? What? Luffy says, I've had it with you, we're going to fight, and I have the same reaction as Zoro. What? The next chapter is called Luffy versus Zoro. So, what? This was more of a kind of conversation chapter, mainly between Nami and Igaram. Nami is trying to negotiate a price and telling him that without them, then Princess Vivi will die. So he can't really exactly make promises because he's just leader of the security guard or something. Like, he doesn't actually have any power that will allow him to give money away in order to save Vivi. But he says if she dies, then the kingdom of Alabasta will be gone. It will crumble. So really scary things. We learn more about the Baroque works people as well. So when people have a lower number, then the more powerful they are. And the boss is called Mr. Zero, and nobody knows what he looks like. So that's kind of like really intimidating, actually, because I'm just like, if nobody knows what he looks like, then he could be literally anyone, or she, you know, or they. It could be anyone, absolutely anyone. And that's kind of scary, because now I'm wondering, is it going to be like somebody I know? The intrigue in this is super high, super high. I don't know what to think. But what in the world is Luffy doing? Like, is this some kind of plan? But also the fact that Nami said that she obviously wouldn't allow herself to get tipsy, but yet she allowed herself to stay asleep while Zoro was fighting everyone. I feel like she knew that he had it under control and that she wouldn't have been able to have helped, considering Zoro is a great swordsman and Nami isn't. So yeah, I guess like her staying asleep or pretending to sleep during that entire time is totally believable. So yeah, I don't mind that at all. I just love that Nami wakes up in time to try and get more money out of someone. Like, that's the time when she reveals that she's awake, you know. It's just so Nami. It's so Nami. I love her. But Sanji and Usopp are still stoned out. Surely the next chapter is when they wake up. Surely. But I said that the last time and I was wrong. The conversation between Nami and Zoro, with Nami trying to get Zoro to be part of her plan, and she's just like, come on, all you have to do is swing your sword a little. And he says, I don't like being used, I'm not like that stupid kook. It's great friendship building. These guys are friends. And in the background of all of this, Luffy is, well, he's walking up and he's just walking along and he's like, nature calls. And like, it's so funny. It's so funny. Again, my back. So you know how Mr. Nine was Miss Wednesday / Princess Vivi's partner? Can't remember if I mentioned, but he protected her in the previous chapter. And now in this one, Miss Monday is protecting Vivi. And that's just so nice. Like, they're kind of villains, but at the same time, they're doing what's right. It shows them as more than just, you know, cardboard cutout villains. They're actually people. And I guess Miss Monday does say that they're going to kill me anyway for not being able to defeat the swordsman, the lone swordsman. And she's like, I'd rather die helping a friend. And that's just such a beautiful message. That's such a beautiful message for somebody who literally, well, didn't even get anywhere near close to destroying Zoro, but was fighting against him. So really, we should not be on her side. We should not be rooting for her or liking her. But in that moment, I was like, okay, you go, girl. Yes, help a friend. Do it. You know, it's... I love this chapter again. Even though most of it was conversation, it was so good. It continued the story and the plot thickens. It definitely does thicken. And I'm just like, what with Luffy at the end? What? Right, I need to find out what in the world Luffy is thinking with this next chapter. Because I'm trying to wrap my head around it and I'm not seeing what's going on. I'm missing something here. Right, okay, quickly jumping in here because it's literally explaining the first couple of pages in this chapter. How can I be so stupid? I criticise Luffy for not having enough common sense. Where did mine go? Obviously, Luffy sees everyone, all the townspeople on the floor unconscious. And, of course, the last thing that Luffy knew before he became unconscious was that they were being welcomed and loved by the people here. So obviously he would say Zoro is ungrateful and would think that Zoro had done something bad because of how the townspeople had treated him without him knowing exactly everything that happened behind the scenes, because he doesn't know yet. He's been asleep this entire time. Why am I so stupid? Why? So we have Nami like, can he really be that dense? And I feel like Nami is saying that to me. I do. I feel like Nami is saying that to me. Can I really be that dense? That I didn't really put two and two together. I want to shut up and continue this chapter because I can't believe I didn't even think of that. Oh my god. I've only just realised that that's Luffy on the cover there. I thought it was her hat. And then I looked up and realised that it's actually a Luffy. So, Luffy versus Zoro. Yeah, it was another good chapter. However, I feel like there wasn't much of a fight. There was some fighting, don't get me wrong. But a lot of it was more conversation. It wasn't really a big, epic, boom, boom, boom fight. They did throw in some punches, and a lot of people got in the way, especially like Miss Valentine and Mr. Five. It's just so funny as well. The fact that like, the end panel of the chapter was amazing. But yeah, it's so funny how the actual bad guys, the actual villains, are like kind of trying to do their thing, and they are about to attack. But then Luffy and Zoro are like, shut up, you're interrupting our fight. It's like priorities, am I right? But yeah, even Vivi is like so confused. Luffy just will not listen to Zoro as he's trying to tell him that everyone was bounty hunters. And Luffy's like, why would they feed us if they were bounty hunters? And it's just incredible the kind of mental gymnastics that Luffy does in order to kind of like avoid the truth. And I hope that, I mean, the next chapter is called It's Alright, so I have a feeling that the fight between Luffy and Zoro ends and everything's alright with them. But yeah, he just needs to listen more. He needs to kind of take in what his friends, like he should trust Zoro, right? He should trust him wholeheartedly. He was the first person that he got onto his crew, onto his team, and he just won't listen to him. Yeah, I hope he does end up just listen to him and actually pay attention, because Princess Vivi is in trouble, and them not even paying attention to that is gonna be a bad thing, really. But yeah, I don't think there was actually much to say about this chapter. It was nice to see Zoro get his hat thing on. What would you call it? The sort of head bandana thingy-mabobby that he puts on and gets his fight. I mean, I would rather him not fight Luffy. Like, I genuinely would not want that. I don't like seeing two friends fight, especially since we had in the previous chapter the villains being like, I will fight for my friends, you know, when Miss Monday said that about Vivi, even though Vivi turned out to be a spy. And yet we have the actual heroes, the main characters, fighting one another. And it's like, so the villains are showing better friendship at the minute rather than Luffy and Zoro. So I find that interesting. I don't know how purposeful that is. I don't know if it's intentional. I don't know if this is just kind of for comedic effect. Because, yeah, some parts of it is just like, come on. But no, it's great. I can't wait to see them resolve this fight. I just don't like seeing them fighting. I don't. But it is exciting. It's very exciting still. Just not a whole lot to say about that chapter. Okay, I can't be bothered to move. I'm keeping the camera here. Poor Igaram. Did they actually get him? I mean, it was hilarious that he dressed up as Vivi in order to try and get the bounty, or at least the Baroque Works boss, out of their hair and to lead them astray so that Vivi and the gang can escape. But he literally just set off and then there was an explosion. Did they actually get him? Oh, that's so sad. I don't think they did. I think he's still alive. Anyway, this was another really great chapter. Zoro and Luffy do end up resolving their issues pretty early on in the chapter. Nami ends up knocking sense into both of them, which is what she is really good at. She is good at telling them both to pack it in and just stop being so silly. So she ends up doing that. It's also really touching as well between Nami and Vivi when Vivi sees Igaram potentially explode, and Nami gives her a hug and tells her it'll be okay, they'll get her to Alabasta, even though it seems like this entire time all Nami has been concerned about is the money. But she has a heart. She does have a heart, so she sees Vivi is distressed and she gives her a hug. And it's so nice. I mean, Sanji and Usopp are still asleep, but they definitely wake up by the end of this one, because the very last two panels was them two asleep and being told to wake up. The next chapter is the last one in this arc. I'm so sad. I'm so sad to say goodbye to the Whisky Peak arc already. It's been quite a good ride, actually. I've been really enjoying it. Lots of revelations. Some great standout moments was when Vivi says the true nature of the Baroque Works agency, and the fact that the boss, because I did say earlier on that nobody knows the identity of Mr. Zero. I was wrong though. I totally forgot that Vivi and Igaram know who Mr. Zero is. And Mr. Zero and Vivi said she wasn't going to tell them because then they'll be on the hit list. But she accidentally let slip that it's Mr. Crocodile, one of the warlords of the Seven Seas. So now it's really like scary for them because now they're on this hit list. Nami's like, right, that's it, I'm out. But then some agents, like, what are they? Like, were they the Unluckies? Yeah, the Unluckies. Oh, that's right, the Unluckies. I think they're kind of, well, they seem like animal-like agents for the Baroque Works agency. And it's hilarious because Nami is like, right, that's it, I'm getting out of here. Mr. Crocodile doesn't know what I look like. And then she turns around and there's one of the Unluckies. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. But it's just looking at the panel and it's like actually drawing all of them. And somehow it's drawn Luffy, Zoro and Nami. And it just holds them up towards Nami with this pencil and the pads of paper. And then Nami looks at it, sees her portrait and she's like, wow, you're good. It's hilarious. Like now Mr. Crocodile does actually know what they look like. And yeah, and Nami said it best as well. They've just got onto the Grand Line and now they have one of the warlords after them. Whew. Scary, scary stuff. When Igaram came out in Miss Wednesday's previous outfit, Vivi's Miss Wednesday's outfit, that was hilarious. And the fact that Luffy was actually like quite, supportive of him dressed as a woman and told him that he actually does look pretty good as Miss Wednesday, and then exclaiming that he liked that guy when it looked like he might have been blown up. It's so sad. I don't know, he's not dead. He's not dead. I don't think he's dead. Please don't tell me in the comments if he's alive or dead. I want to find this out for myself, but I don't think he can't be dead. He can't be dead. No, I don't believe it. Anyway, last chapter now, the course. Let's see how we end this arc. I just love it so much. I love it so much. The chapter itself didn't blow me away or anything like that, but I just love it. The way that we have this sense of dread now going into the next arc is so palpable. I am so glad I am reading Little Garden right after this. I am reading this arc and the next arc back to back, and I bet you I'm going to end up doing it so much more often in the future, judging by this arc anyway, just how much I enjoyed it. But this chapter itself, so we do have the Straw Hats get on the ship with Vivi, and they are on their way to Alabasta. They are leaving Whisky Peak behind them and they are filling in Usopp and Sanji. And then we end up having this visitor on the ship called Miss All Sunday, and she is the partner of Mr. Crocodile. So she is very powerful. She's most likely ate some devil fruit because she has some mysterious power herself. And it's so sinister because they can't really touch her. And she is, I don't know her deal because she seems to be helping them, but can she be trusted? She was going to give them, well, she does give them the Eternal Pause, which has a location marked on it that the agents in Baroque Works have no idea about. So it's probably a safe option to go to avoid those. But Luffy ends up breaking it. He says, I'm not going to trust you. You are not going to decide our course for us. And part of me is like, you go, Luffy. But then another part of me is like, did he do a bad thing there? Because Little Garden sounds ominous. It sounds terrifying. The end panels with, I think it's like a tiger. Yeah, one of the last few panels is a tiger walking through some kind of jungle area. And there are huge footprints next to it. So it really does give you a scale of something monstrous being on this island. What's on this island? I don't actually know. There's nothing on the cover that gives it away. So yeah, we'll see in the next arc video, I guess. Overall, a really good chapter. Good way to close out this arc and then go into the next. In terms of ratings, I'll probably give the Whisky Peak arc a 7 out of 10. I just really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much. I definitely think I enjoyed it more than the Reverse Mountain arc. And I think there was just so many revelations and so much more world building and so many villains and enemies that have come more to fruition in this arc. And again, my level of excitement for One Piece, every single arc I read just goes like this. We're climbing higher and higher and higher until I can probably no longer breathe. I can no longer breathe when we get to more One Piece later on. But yeah, that's the Whisky Peak arc, and overall, really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really good, and I'm so glad I read it, so I'm also really glad that I finished Volume 12. But yeah, next we will be reading the Little Garden arc, and I will have that video up pretty much nearly after this one, so I hope you're excited for that. But yeah, that's the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to leave this video a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave all the comments down below. Let me know what you thought of the Whisky Peak arc. Do you have a favourite moment, a favourite chapter? Do you dislike the Whisky Peak arc? Let me know everything down below. I'd love to chat about it. A huge thank you to my patrons for supporting my content. If you'd like to join my Patreon or follow me on any social media, then all the links are down in the description box. But I hope I will see you in the next video. Bye.